Hello and welcome to the Aftermath. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Dylan. How are you today? A little skeeved out?
Skeeved.
A little grossed? A little nasty?
Oh, dude. After anyone would be the same after what we just watched.
Oh, man, what we just experienced.
The blorb.
The blorb.
The ick.
The ick.
Fucking hate that word.
The big squelch.
Yeah. Oh, God.
We watched the 1988 version of The Blob. And I just read something online that was like a user poll that had said The Thing versus The Fly versus The Blob. And it was like a face-off of like the top like horror movies of this kind of genre. And I will say that is very, very true.
I feel like The Fly would be...
I would say it's
definitely
akin...
last.
Yeah.
Like a three-way between those three?
You're right. You're right.
Like
I would agree.
I'm thinking it's going to be a tie between The Thing and The Blob.
Yeah.
Because they're both...
I think The Thing for me is still on top because of the like the psychological aspect of the horror.
Yeah.
Of not knowing.
Right. It could be anybody. Whereas with The Blob, it doesn't hide. It's up front and it's coming for you.
Pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Once you see ripples in the water, you know it's bad.
Yeah, you better get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Buddy. This was a doozy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You had you kind of set this movie up a little bit for me about just kind of telling me that it was bad. It was
bad in the sense
gruesome.
That,
scary, kind of, a little ick.
Right.
Just to start off with, I love that this film has this, how would you put it? It's like a lovely, like normal 80s film, I feel like, where it just has that kind of vibe. It's like a down to earth kind of movie so far. We're establishing a handful of like key characters. And it's like a small town, kind of has a bit of
not much going on,
a country feel, and we get to meet the sheriff, we get to meet the local diner person, we get to meet a few of the football players and the love interest of this film, and it's very heartfelt and very nice, very pleasant right at the get-go.
Right.
But obviously, I know what we're watching. I'm like, that's not going to last forever.
Right. Speaking of down to earth,
we
get something that does that.
Yeah, flies down.
Yeah, in the form of a meteorite.
Yeah,
quote unquote.
Right.
And the local homeless dude toughs it out in the woods.
Yeah. But by the way, what a guy.
Yeah, just a real nice dude.
Yeah.
Of course, decides to investigate the crash site.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to him, what works and lurks within.
Yeah.
The blob.
The blob. The thing.
Yeah. It's fairly small at first.
Yeah.
Just
latches onto his arm.
Right. Props it up with a big old stick and just decides to take a nibble.
Right.
And it just hitchhikes on him for a bit until somebody finds him and brings him to a hospital. Not before hitting him with the car, of course.
Oh,
But yeah, that's when the true horror ensues.
Yes,
you see the full effects of this thing and what it does to people, and it is horrific. It is my least favorite kind of horror to bear witness to.
Really. You don't.
I hate body horror.
I mean, you've told me it before, and I don't know. I didn't think that this. I didn't think this had as many like scary moments as far as like I said with The Thing that has a little more like psychological, like oh my god, the fear in that movie really sets in. Yeah. This is just the shock factor, which I mean. I'm not trying to downplay this at all. Yeah. They did a great job with the practical effects of making this shit look nasty. And I was like, oh my god, they're not pulling any punches with like watching that human being melt away. You're like, oh, holy
Terrifying.
shit, is bad.
Mhm.
But you know, the scariness of it comes from the anticipation
Yeah.
and the, I guess, like the how would you put that? The tension, the thrill, the kind of like, oh my God, we know what's going to happen, but it's just kind of creeping around, which I felt on the edge of my seat during certain moments of this. But to kind of bring it back around to the front a little bit, like I said, we get to meet all these lovely characters, and it feels like, I mean, I even said this in the while we were watching the movie. I told this to Dylan. I was like, I know that each generation and each, like, you know, genre in time, the 50s,
genre
60.
of people.
Well, I don't know a better way. Like, generation doesn't feel right because again, a generation, I think, still spans a huge swath of time.
I mean, you could say era.
I know, or era. Regardless, a genre. I'm playing. Is it like a decade? Like, there was struggles in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like there was, each came with their own different struggles. Right. But I was like, man, like nowadays feels so different and unpleasant in a whole different way. And I was watching this movie from the 80s, from the late 80s actually as well, from 88. And I was like, man, it almost, like, I'm just watching this. I'm like, man, this just feels, I think partially because the way they're painting the picture in this film is very small town,
right?
Very chill, not a whole lot's going on, and it just was like, man, you don't talk about not having a lot of worries, man, or not the same worries that we have to deal with. And it was like, dude, it just feels like a little bit of a simpler time, even though I was not born around then. And I know there were struggles. I'm not going to discredit that, but I was like, you could just walk into a diner that was like locally owned by just a person and, you know, chat them up real nice. And, you know, it's just like things like that. It's like, that's just so far from our daily life. Yeah. At least around here in the city that we live in. So it's like, it's just crazy to look at. I was like, man, it's just kind of tripping me out. Like, small town life and everything's all fun.
Let's start looking for some small towns, bro.
But that's the thing, is I don't think I want to live in a small town, though.
Well, no, I don't mean like live in one. I'm just saying like pay a visit.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we do live in the state of Louisiana, and we found out that there was a city that this was that was recorded in. It was called Abbeville. Yeah. And I looked it up, and I was like, "Hey, yo, look at that!
Real.
It's real!" And I was looking at all the pictures, and it is like
the Blob was there like a few decades ago,
right? Exactly. And so like there's the church and the courthouse and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, "Wow, okay.
They cleaned up well."
Yeah,
got most of the Blob fragments off the streets,
all the shit out the roads.
Yeah,
but yeah. So, anyways, just watching this before the horror ensues and the terror and all that kind of stuff, I was like, man, this is how nice,
right?
How chill.
We'll show you.
Oh yeah, I'll show you chill.
Oh man.
Yeah, we get our regular fare of jock guys. There's some funny moments in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
We get our stereotypical 80s film. We got the hot female lady who is just the cheerleader, the blonde, this smoke show, if you will. I just know that is a phrase that has been used to describe this kind of character archetype. And then, of course, we can't forget Brian, our boy Brian, dude. And I mean, like, the second he popped on screen, I was like, hell yeah, we're in an 80s movie, dude. He's wearing black riding boots, like motorcycle riding boots, lighter wash denim jeans, a white shirt with a nice collar on it, and a leather jacket. Yep. And he has that kind of permed hair. Right. And he's smoking a cigarette. A mullet. Yeah, and he's smoking a cigarette while he's propped up against his motorcycle. And I'm like, hell yeah,
damn, dude.
It's like, bro, we are there.
I've heard of period pieces. Get ready for a period people.
A period genre of person. But so anyways, and he of course, is our I thought that he was going to be just like a side character.
Right.
But we after some very traumatic incidences with our actual lead character.
Yeah. They build this dude up that we start the movie off with.
Right.
Wins
It was a
game.
little fake out.
Right. Asks this girl out.
Yeah.
And as they're about to have their
His
little
name's
night on
Paul.
the town, they come upon the homeless dude.
Yeah.
And they take him to a
Post gooping, by the way.
Yeah. In mid goop.
Yeah,
if you
mid
would.
goop. Oh wait! But before we continue, may I say the way that oh my god, the homeless man gets gooped, and of course is like kind of panicking, and our boy Brian is working on his bike in the middle of the night because long story, but it got a little disheveled, and so he's working on it, and as he is, the homeless man runs up.
Yeah.
And I don't know who decided on this shot sequence, but I was like, "Hey, yo, slow down."
Right.
The homeless man had a hatchet that he went to go and find out about this meteor in the ground.
Yeah.
As he's running through with a hatchet or whatever, he puts it in his pocket and then, of course, starts poking them with a stick. Flash forward to this moment, he is running up there with his left arm, like partially eaten by the goop.
Right.
And he has his hatchet, and of course we just see him run up screaming in pain, and then just like hatchets like the mid part of his forearm.
Yeah, tries to cut it off.
Right, to
amputate.
Exactly, to stifle the movement of the goop.
It just don't work.
Well, I mean, he tries to get through, but he doesn't have enough force and only makes it like halfway through, and he tries to go back for more, but then Brian's like, no, stop. And then, of course, the goop like just eats him further down.
Yeah.
And then, of course, rendering his wound, useless at this point.
Yeah.
Anyways, as you were saying, at this point, Brian is chasing this homeless man
Right.
with a gooped up arm through the wilderness at night.
Yeah, he ends up running into the road and gets tackled by their car.
You could say it. Hit.
Discombobulated. If you would.
Right. He gets bonked real good.
Right. And of course they're like, what the fuck's going on?
What's happening here?
So they load him up into the car and are about to bring him to the nearest hospital. But not before singling Brian out, being like, hey, how about you just come with us?
Yeah, you're going to come with us because you're the one who's chasing this man through the woods at night.
So they all...
after some teenage angst later, he's like,
Right.
maybe I will go with you.
Yeah.
All
Who's to
right.
say you ain't going to pin this all on me, huh?
Yeah.
So they get to the hospital, offload the dude, and oh my god, this fucking receptionist
Oh, God.
could not give two shits
Nah.
about any kind of patient. Cares more about what kind of insurance they have
Yeah.
than the actual person that needs help.
I don't think a lot's changed.
It really hasn't.
No.
But yeah, they drop him off there. Paul and Meg stay just to make sure everything goes all right. And Brian just books it out of there.
He's like, you know where to find me.
Right, these people don't give two shits about explanations.
Right.
What are you going to tell them? But yeah, as they're staying there, Paul, upon going to grab some snacks or a drink, notices some
Movement.
squelching
Oh,
in the
Squelching
room where the
stops.
old man's just chilling out.
squelching continues.
Right.
What the hell's going on here?
So he takes a peek in there, and we see the dude, his head turn over, clearly mid-dissolved.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. It's fucking face, man.
His eyes are all whited out, and as he turns his head to his left towards the camera, there's also like this like under the skin undulation of it's like his neck and chest area, and it's like, and you're like, oh my god, dude, it's like it's nasty, and of course,
He gets to the doctor. Is like, there's a man dying in the room.
I'm with a patient. And it's
like, shut the fuck up and come see this dead guy.
Help this man, damn it.
Right. So they walk up and he stopped moving.
Yep.
So immediately they're like,
oh shit. The doctor like reaches over and feels for his pulse, and there is nothing.
Right. So he takes the blanket off, and the man is now just a torso.
Yeah.
His legs
are
gone.
From the armpits up, like I would say. Because even like some of his chest cavity was all like squelched.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah, got
schmucked up real good. 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they really don't make movies like this anymore.
Mm-mm.
I could be wrong.
I haven't seen anything
because
recently.
I don't watch horror movies really.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of horror movies now they fit a mold.
Yeah.
They fit a cliche, I feel like. And some of them are really good, some of them are new. But I feel like a lot of it is all like
I haven't seen anything monster focused.
Yeah, it's all like
spiritual
stuff, possession stuff, and it's all like
poltergeists.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't believe in ghosts really, which we don't need to get into that topic.
Yeah.
But it's like that stuff doesn't scare me at all because I'm like, whatever.
A good monster movie that I think came out I say recently, but it was like a few years ago.
Right.
Was It Follows. That's a really good one.
It Follows.
Yeah.
I think I remember that one. Was that the one that like it always follows you and you have to like
yeah, the way to get rid of it is really weird. It's a STM, I like to call it, sexually transmitted monster.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
I have seen this one and you're right.
Yeah. Freaky.
It is freaky because of the fact that
it takes on random appearances.
Yeah. And it also there's no way to get rid of it. Like you just have to keep moving
right
before it catches up with you, which I think it really messes me up.
Right. It's like the snail hypothetical.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that. Oh yeah, that does.
You're immortal, but you better stay the fuck away from that snail.
Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Freaky.
That is very freaky, and I don't like that because that was I think a little spoiler for those of you who may or may not have watched it. I think at the end, it's still moving, like it's not gone. Like I think supposedly they felt like they killed it or whatever, but I think at the end, like no, it's still around or whatever, which is.
But yeah, that's the only other like monster movie that I can think of. But yeah, this one definitely hits the nail on the head as far as like that specific type of horror goes for me, which is why it's up there with The Thing for me.
Right.
Because, man, that second kill that we see where it gets Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, man, that is up until that point in the movie, we're still kind of in like the early stages of the movie. We get to see the monster, we get to see what's happening, we see the evolution of it and stuff, which is really cool. But like we've seen it like gobble up the hand a little bit. We saw like the decaying, like melted chest cavity section. But oh gosh, what I thought was our main character is like trying to call the police and he's like freaking out in the doctor's office or whatever. And of course the blob is on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it schlorps down to the ground. And as it does that, it sucks up Paul, our main man, and or what again, like I said, what feels like it. And
it cuts away, like as soon as it gets on him.
The female interest Meg is like, "What the hell's going on in there?" And she's like, "Oh my god!" And it's just, I mean, it is this like, it's this pink goop, but like you see the, I don't even know how to. You ever seen someone like with pantyhose in their head? How like it smashes their face and it kind of like if you were to open your mouth and stuff, like it would be like a horror villain. It's like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like inside this
it's like if you ran just a little too hard into like a plastic
or just
screen door.
You're just like smashing your face up against a window.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's like it has that like it's like pulling his face away. And it's like and he's like help and he's
screaming.
Yeah, I mean justifiably because his skin's being melted off. The only thing it is not covering is his right arm up to like his elbow, and he's like reaching out and he's like and he's like freaking out or whatever. And then I mean, the next events are traumatizing. Meg is grabbing onto his hand. Is like, it's like
right.
Paul,
Trying to
my
pull him
God.
out.
Trying to pull him out. And of course, like the acid has melted away at his arm,
And
so
it just
she
snaps right off.
pulls his arm off basically.
Mm-hmm.
And as she does, she falls back in the corner. Which this is the part of the movie that I didn't understand how it happened. Because how did she get out of there?
Yeah, it was like on its way out the window with Paul.
Oh, I see.
So
okay.
it was focused on just grabbing him and then getting out of there.
Got it. I didn't know it was going out the window. She was the only exit, and it was out of the door. And so whenever she fell, she like fell into like the corner of the door frame in the wall, and the arm is on the ground, actively like twitching and like in like rigor mortis, whatever it is. Like it's like freaking out, and she like faints from obviously
right
trauma. And so by the time people walk in there, all they see is just an arm, a severed arm.
And some goop on the floor.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And of course, they're all like, you're crazy. They're not saying you're crazy, but they're just like...
Something definitely happened.
Something happened.
We just don't know what.
But they think it's something more terrestrial. Something more like human killed him.
Some sort of crazy serial killer or something like that.
Hacked off his arm and killed him and took him away or whatever. But they're all like, it's fine. You just need some sleep. You need to calm down. And this is, I think, from what I've heard, also like very common 80s trope.
Right.
Or just also very common this time period of like, someone's like, I am unwell. And they're like, I just drink some water and go take a nap.
Take an ibuprofen.
Take an ibuprofen and be fine. Go for a walk and a banana.
This will knock you out.
Go get some sun and you'll be fine. It's like, no, I have trauma.
Yeah.
You
don't know what I just saw.
I went on my first date with this guy that I thought was kind of attractive and I was having a fun time with. And I was like, hey, we're going to help this homeless man with this flesh-eating disease on him. That's wacky. But she was also like, you know what? I'm here.
I don't mind.
I don't mind. She was like, you know what? What a fun experience. And I was like, you know what? Good on you. Way to be.
Way to stick it out.
But don't sit here and call me crazy when I watched him melt.
Yeah.
I watched the skin get left off his body. And I tried to help him, and I pulled his arm off.
Yeah. there ain't no coming back from that.
Like, there's no... The thing is, but the thing is, she never says that, like, explicitly. She may have probably either, like, sort of said that.
At any point when she explained what happened, that we don't see it.
Yeah.
Like, she never... The only time she says what happened was whenever she gets back in touch with Brian.
Right.
After she sneaks out of the house.
Exactly. Everyone kind of makes her feel like she's kind of crazy. And I'm like, I don't think you're selling this enough, but also you're a teenage girl. So maybe that's just, you don't know how to, like any teenage boy or
put
girl.
It into words.
Maybe you don't know how to put it into words. So I'm like, I don't want to blame you for that. But at the same time.
Who could?
I could.
Right.
If I sat there and watched somebody get oozed away, and someone was like, it'll be all right, I would look them square ass in the eyes and go, I want you to hear me when I say this. I watched a young boy get sucked up by a pink goop, and I heard his last screams of life as I watched the skin get melted off his skull. I don't want you to tell me it's going to be all right, because I'm not all right.
Nah. Nothing will ever be all right ever again.
I will never be all right. I am traumatized and scared, and this ibuprofen and a nap is not going to fix me right now. So I'm like, but anyways, I know this is my logic brain. I'm very, very logical and very direct, and that is the kind of person that I am. I get it. This is a movie. I'm not gonna. It's also a horror. It's a kind of a horror movie, thriller, extraordinaire. So I'm not gonna. I'm not getting too mad at it. It was fun, and at that point, of course, she does, end up escaping and meeting up with Brian, and she's like, "You're the only one who understands." And he's like, "I don't think I understand." And she's like,
"I'm not. I don't want to.
I don't want to.
I'm not having it right now.
No.
Sorry."
But
just got grilled at the station.
Yeah,
for no reason.
Exactly. I got. They thought that I was the murderer, of this young boy, but no, not I.
No,
'twas not I.
No,
I am no goop. And then like there are some there's some great tension in this, and it feels like a good classic horror film does, where like there's a lot of characters that they introduce you to,
Right.
a handful of which you get sort of emotionally invested in, enough to where whenever the goop monster's around and like, you know, shit's going down like it normally does,
somebody's gonna buy it.
You're like, no, please, not this person, please. So that it's the same way, or it feels that way with the owner of this diner. I forgot her name, but she's like a super sweet lady who's just, you know, making ends meet, making a living, doing her thing. Fran, I think her name was Fran. And sweet lady.
Yep.
And so whenever she's in the kitchen and like something suspicious is going on in the sink.
Yeah, something's clogged the drain.
Right. And we already know that this blob monster has like
made it into the sewers after killing Paul's friend.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk about that?
Go ahead, take it.
Okay, so I cannot remember the dude's name, but
let me see. I'll try to find it.
He was able to get with this girl, Vicky. And they're on makeout point or whatever the fuck they call it back then. And he's putting the moves on her, laying it on a little heavy.
Was it Scott?
Probably, yeah. But this guy has an entire bar in his trunk.
Which how? First of all, has any of that
has
like
been
not
making
fall over?
God knows how many mixed drinks and shit, and he's really hamming it up. He gets out of the car to make like 2 more.
It was Scott, by the way. I just looked at his character.
Right. So after Scott finishes making his drinks, we've got the monster eye view shot a couple times.
Oh yeah,
making its way to the car.
Yeah,
on the passenger side.
We see that it's small enough now that like through the tall grass is like moving out of the way a little bit. So you're like, oh no, here we go, something's creeping.
And he gets back in the car and she's motionless.
Yeah.
Which maybe she just fell asleep. She did have a bit to drink.
And again, they'd also set it up pretty well. Before he left to get more drinks, she did kind of get cozy, and she was like, I don't think I need any more drinks.
Right.
And like,
I'm just going to take a little nap.
Right. So it feels natural.
Yeah. So he... Oh, God.
Oh, guys, give me the willies.
Yeah, dude, it's horrific. He starts getting a little frisky.
He's trying to cop a feel.
Unbuttoning her blouse and whatnot. And he just straight up puts his hand in her chest, and it takes a bite out of him.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
oh
my
God.
Shit.
It's like tentacles.
Right.
Tentacles come out, like wrap around his arm all shit, and he's like, oh God, oh my God. And he's like freaking out and panicking.
She starts moving around a bit, and we see her face like scrunch up and get like crushed, and then a bunch of tentacles start coming out of it.
Oh God, it's nasty.
Yeah, it's awful.
What a way
to go.
When I said that I don't feel like any movies are made like this anymore, is like I don't think, again, I could be wrong. But like you're saying, there's no like monster horror like that. Yeah. Like there's a lot of like gore and violence in like the way of like a person cutting off somebody or doing something like that where it's visceral and aggressive, but still feels human in a way. Watching him turn her body over as like tentacles wrapping around his arm, and like her face caves in, and like tentacles and shit started coming out of it, and like latch onto his face, and like he's like panicking as his skin's getting melted away. Oh, yeah. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah, and it's like it's crazy. I don't get it. I don't see that very often at all.
You really don't.
And it's probably for a good reason, because I'm pretty sure people are like not okay.
Yeah,
after watching some of these films. But yes, anyways, so the blob gets to go into like the sewer and stuff, and it's like getting into precarious places and all that. Yeah. And so whenever obviously at this point, we've had a handful of attacks. So it is expected that when something suspicious is happening in the back of the restaurant with the sink, you're like, shit.
It's the motherfucking
Here we
blob
go again.
And
Greg, our boy Greg, the cook, line cook, just simple man.
Oh, man.
Again, trying to make his way in the world.
Right.
He's like, don't worry about it. Because Fran is like trying to plunger the sink and it's not working. And he's like, God, don't worry about it.
Quite cutting it. He gives it a few good tries. Yeah. Then he decides, well, I
may as well.
Got to just reach my hand in there and grab whatever it is out, I guess.
Yep.
But, no.
Well, like he pulls,
whatever was in the drain grabs him.
Well, like the thing that made me think that it was a fake out was he does like he gets he clears out the drain a little bit, and then it starts to drain, and he's like, and so at that point I'm like, oh shit, maybe it was honestly just stuck with something,
right?
And then he looks at his hand, he has like
some
mucusy
pink liquid, and
yeah,
it's like,
and it's also kind of
no.
it's also kind of like burning him a little bit. He's like, oh, what is this? And then of course like it comes out of the sink and grabs him
by the face.
The way in which this monster like distorts bodies and with such force drags them through things,
it's got an appetite,
is visceral.
It's
aggressive. And so like the last shot we see is his head getting forced into the sink and his legs being like just dangling around. And then Fran walks in and is like, "Oh my God, Greg!" And then like as the two kids come in there, Brian and Meg, they're all three in there, and of course like Fran's freaking out and screaming, and we just see like an arm and a leg just somehow in the same directed up, and there's like they're flopping around like a corpse in a video game that's like no clipping, just like and like
got
blood,
some collision issues there,
exactly, and then it's just being forced into this drain pipe, and it's like, oh my God,
goodbye, Greg.
There's so many times in this movie specifically, as shit was going on, and you can ask Dylan, I was like, oh my God. Like, sweet Jesus, that is awful. It's crazy. So yeah. Anyways,
rough stuff.
Yeah, really rough stuff. So, anyways,
so they're running from this thing, and it's fast.
Oh yeah,
it is way faster than you would think it is.
At this point, like it's also gotten a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, it is the liquid equivalent of a bear running at you.
Yeah. Oh, it kind of strikes like a snake. Whenever it gets you, it got you.
Yeah, you're done.
Me when I get you. You're like, oh my God. Yeah.
But Brian and Meg are able to make their way to the freezer, like the walk-in freezer, and as soon as it tries to like get through the underside of the door, the cold scares it off.
Yeah. And it freezes it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Breaks off.
So.
And we're like, the weakness.
The revealed.
Point. Yeah, the reveal of the weakness. Here we go.
Yeah. So, of course, they just chill out in there for a bit because they don't know if it's still out there or not.
Right.
And it, unfortunately, goes after Fran.
And then, of course, like in any good horror movie, a character puts themselves in such a precarious place, and you're like, no, why are you doing this? Stop. Yeah. So she like runs into a telephone booth and closes the door and is in this phone booth, like not very far away from where the monster is, and like tries her best to like get the phone to work. And I'm like, stop, just run, just stop,
leave town,
please. Yeah, just
as far away as you can.
Right. Just leave town, up and leave.
Yeah.
And needless to say, the blob definitely
encases the phone booth
again, and it's so unique, the different ways in which this monster, it's not just like a simple like, ta-da, I ate you, like haha, now I melted you. It's like each one has been uniquely aggressive and heinous in a whole new way. Like with the fact that Paul was like, kind of like in the goo as he's like getting melted away. The tentacle variant in the car with Scott and his love interest.
Yeah.
The fact that Greg is getting forced down a sink in a way.
Yeah.
And then just like that,
very creative.
And I'm getting there. The blob is on top of this phone booth, and as it is like oozing its way down, if you can imagine, like a slime, just
as a blob is to do,
is just squelching its way down this phone booth. And of course, like as Fran's in there, from all the windows, you see this just pink goop slide down. You're like, oh man, she's dead anyway.
Yeah. But then just to add insult to incoming death, we see one of its previous victims.
Yeah, Fran's actively calling the sheriff's department, trying to get the sheriff on down there. What was his name again? I thought I had it right here. Herbert.
Yeah.
As she was like trying to call for him, they they were having a little flirtatious moment in the earlier part of the movie, and he was like trying to ask her out. Herb Geller was his name.
Yeah.
They were trying. He was trying to kind of ask her out to like a little country shindig, and he was like, you know, what time you get off, you would come hang out with me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, again, small town stuff. It was fun, harmless. You know, sheriff's asking out the local diner lady for a nice dance.
Mm-hmm.
So she had his phone number already, and she's like, well, "Get the sheriff out here!" And he was already coming up there to go like check and make sure that she was okay. Mm-hmm. So by the time like the ooze is going down, like you see the face of the sheriff with his badge all like there, and you're because on the phone as she's like, "Oh, he was going down to the diner to go check and see how things were going." And of course, she's like, and like, boom, camera snaps over, and it's just like, there's his face, and it's like, oh,
half
and you're like,
melted.
Oh my god!
Mm-hmm.
And then I was not expecting this. The I almost called it the goop, unironically. Right. The goop is like caves in the doorway to the phone booth and all the glass or whatever, and like forcibly like presses her body up against the back and tears her body up through and it was graphic and it was also so fast that I was like, oh my god. And I was like, holy shit. Every new iteration of a death in this is like, just when I thought I had enough, right? Or I knew it was gonna
that sink was bad enough. Jesus.
I know, yeah. Just when I thought it was bad enough, I'm like, man, you really throw a curveball and make it.
It's got a flair for the dramatic.
You're right.
It'll
It's a bit of a drama
every
queen.
Opportunity it gets.
Oh yeah, it's a bit of a drama queen. It likes to.
As soon as it saw the phone booth, it was like,
yes, dude, watch this.
Sweet.
Just blast the door in with aggressive force.
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy. And at this point, again, now I'm like, okay, so there's a handful of our side characters that we all are a little beloved towards. Or I'm probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
But I also don't know how far that's going to go.
Right. Who knows?
Who's safe?
It's anybody's guess.
Crazy.
It's like that fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre tagline. Who will survive and what will be left of them?
Really?
Yeah.
I never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right. That's another one on the list for sure. But
by the way, it's this is our Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween for anybody who's listening. We decided to watch I think Dylan's been wanting to watch this movie specifically for a while anyways.
For a good while.
And
I was resigned to ordering it a while back, but then I saw we had the super fancy Steelbook edition.
Exactly.
So I went ahead and got that. I think it was the only one we had, too.
Really?
Yeah, I lucked out.
Hell yeah, dude.
But
so, obviously, with Dylan's connections, he got a copy of it, and I was like, well, we need a...
issue I was having whenever I was looking for the second Invasion of the Body Snatchers film.
Yeah.
Because that one, holy shit. That's another really good one.
Wait, there's two of those?
Yeah, there was the original, like, black and white film.
Oh,
and there was the other one that we watched.
We watched the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a sequel to it, and I was like, holy shit.
They made another one, like, later on, but I don't think it was quite as good. But, yeah.
That's another one that's kind of up there
with,
like, freaky...
Oh, yeah. Dude, the fucking Screech. Yeah. Don't even get me started.
Scary.
Yeah. But, yeah. This one was definitely worth picking up.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
I was just thinking back to Invasion of the Body Snatchers for a minute, and I got a little lost. I got a little lost and thought there was a
dog, dude.
Oh man.
As goofy as it is, like they just put that rubber mask on the dog.
Yeah.
In the context of the film, it's horrifying.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about wasn't there like a theory about the ending of that movie?
Yes. So with that Body Snatchers film, we see our main man, the health inspector, like we see him
right.
Like escape for all intents and purposes, but we don't know if he like makes it because we still follow him afterwards.
Right.
And then one of the other people he knew that was also trying to escape has been undercover, like has been acting the part, like fully emotionless.
Right.
And she sees him like walking out in front of the city hall.
Yeah.
And that poor girl, she believes that if anyone could have made it, it would have been him, and decides to blow her cover.
Yeah.
And like single him out, like, hey, it's me. I'm still me.
No, I forgot about that.
As soon as he sees her, he fucking does the point and the screech, and she's dead, man.
Damn.
That's it. But the theory about it is that he was playing the part too,
right?
And didn't want to blow his cover,
right?
So he ratted her out for all intents and purposes just to keep himself
safe.
Like, yeah.
Oh, dude,
it's rough, man.
That's a hard. Oh, that's a heavy pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Damn. I forgot about that. It's been a while since we watched that movie.
Mm-hmm. It was a while back. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
But
anyways, back on the subject of the blob.
Yeah, the blurg.
The blurg.
Big yawn.
Excuse me, big yawn. May I say, it is a lot earlier than we normally record.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I have still the rest of the night.
Yeah, I know. Once we get finished up with this, we may play some Deep Rock Galactic.
Yes, Rock and Stone.
Rock and Stone. Anyways, after that point in the movie, we get some more clarity on the whereabouts of where this thing may have come from.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of scientists in white suits with
the hazmat team
with like heavy guns.
They got helicopters,
rifles,
they got trucks, all the equipment,
but they're all unmarked, which I didn't really notice at first until like our main man, Brian.
That dude's on the level. He's
pointed
got his
out
wits about him.
I know, and I was like, yeah, this guy.
Yeah, things are getting a little thick around here, don't you think?
Yeah. That also, I think, comes from a guy who has probably lived his life.
He's definitely an outcast.
Looking out for those sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
I love his sense of humor. I love his character. I love the fact that even when he's like handcuffed in the police station, they're interrogating him, and they're like, the police officer or like one of the deputies is like trying to like give him a hard time about like we can't get a hold of your mom because she's like out with guys or whatever, like that's kind of making a reference that she kind of is like hoeing around, and he's like, and then who knows where your dad's at or whatever, right. And then of course like he acts out a little bit. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm a troubled man or whatever.
Right. Call up a psychiatrist. I'm a broken
man.
I'm
a broken man. It's like, oh, dude, I love the self-awareness, but at the same time, like, I hope you're okay, dude.
Yeah. Oh, he's fine.
I know.
He's okay.
He's okay. He smokes cigarettes and drives a motorcycle.
Yeah, he's tough enough.
He's tough enough.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a leather jacket. He's fine.
That's how you know he's got it.
Every time I see Dylan, I'm like, man, that guy's got it figured out. He's got this nice leather jacket on.
I fucking wish.
I'm like, yeah.
Nah, man, I'm just a poser.
I wouldn't say a poser. I think you definitely fit the vibe more than some people.
Yeah. I'm not an asshole.
You're right. You're right. You're right. But I think that you fit the mold in some ways.
Sweet.
Maybe again, like not the aggressive smoker / asshole,
right?
But the stoic, I go my own path kind of way.
The demeanor.
Yeah. There's been so many times where even whenever like Mallory, Dylan, and I will go to the store for something or whatever. Before I'm able like to get out of the car, Dylan's already like on his way into the store, just like marching alone. And I'm always like, damn, look at how cool that guy is. He's just walking to the store by himself.
I usually think that you guys are like right behind me.
Normally I try.
I'll stop and turn around and be like, damn,
I'm all alone. Anyways, so with this character, I just love I love how laid back he is, especially because we're like in this very tense movie.
Yeah.
And he adds a bit of laid backness to it, which is nice.
After they decide to leave the freezer, and find that the blob has vacated the area, he hears a noise or like slips in something, and then he takes a swipe at the shelf, and he's
got a meat hook in his hand.
Yeah. And he sees what he hit on the ground. And it's like, oh, I've killed the strawberry jam.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah. So they decide to head to the sheriff's office
Yeah.
and try to get some kind of assistance on the situation. They get to the receptionist, and she's like taking calls nonstop, putting people on hold.
Yeah.
She's been trying to get in touch with like anybody,
Mm-hmm.
and is getting nothing. Yeah. She tells them where she last saw the sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same area that he found the old man.
Yeah.
So they
the origin of the crash.
right. They mosey on over and stumble across the quarantine project.
Yeah. Like we said before, all the unmarked guys in hazmat suits and stuff.
Led by Dr. Meadows.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And he seems like a godsend at first. It's like, oh my God.
Finally.
Somebody with the capability to handle the situation.
Yeah. Because he says that he's with the military and he does like biochemical engineering stuff or whatever. So you're like, hell yeah.
He explains the situation, at least the version of it that is civilian safe.
Right.
And they're like, oh, sweet. Well, that's great. Can you fix it at all? Can you destroy the damn thing? It's like, oh, well,
we're going to try to.
We're going to work on it, but we're going to get you back to town first where it's safe.
Let's get you quarantined back at town.
It's like, I'm sorry. Did you, you know where the damn thing is, right?
Right.
How are we going to be safe there exactly?
Yeah. Well, we're going to go towards it.
Right. So it's like, oh, well, it's part of quarantine procedure. We're not going to let anybody in or out.
Yeah.
And he's like, so we're you prisoners? It's like, no, you're my patients. It's like, that's the same
Sounds
thing.
Sounds an awful lot like the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So immediately Brian's like, no, actually my bike's right over there. I think we can get back to town just fine on our own.
Yeah.
And then they walk up with guns and are like, get in the van. It's like, okay, well.
The colonel. Oh, apparently now there's a colonel involved. Right. He walks over there with a gun. Get in the van.
Yeah. So,
you know what?
Prisoners.
The van sounds like an option.
Yeah. Van ride sounds nice.
Yeah,
So they're on their way back to town, and Brian is immediately trying to escape.
And this is where we split the party.
Mm-hmm.
Never split the party.
Yeah, right. Because he doesn't feel good about the situation as you would.
Right.
And is like, we got to get out of here. And if you're smart, you're going to come with me. But Meg cannot leave her family behind. Anybody she cares about, pretty much. That being her little brother and all her friends. So she stays and is directed to the town hall where they're rounding everybody up for quarantine. Unfortunately, they haven't made their way to the movie theater yet, where her little brother and his friend Eddie are watching a hockey mask, chainsaw-wielding slasher flick.
Right.
And man, I cannot stress how much I hate that fucking movie theater scene.
Why is that?
Because of the dude in the booth, like the projector booth, how he gets taken out.
Yeah.
Thing works its way into the vents and snatches him up and just starts chewing on him on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that
the fucking sound he makes, man.
He makes the sound of a dying elk.
Yeah.
If you ever heard an elk like
right.
Like this kind of the very guttural animal sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Mm-hmm. One of his coworkers gets snatched up not soon after.
Yeah.
And the running theme with this movie theater is that there's this jackass behind the kids.
Oh God!
Who is narrating every single scene in the movie?
Who has seen this movie a handful of times, and he's spoiling what's happening as it's happening.
He's turned around a couple times. It's like, man, can you shut the fuck up? I'm trying to watch the movie.
And of course, the guy throws popcorn.
You
shut up. It's like I don't. Wow.
So, thankfully, he gets picked off next. Is drawn into the ceiling blob that has now formed.
Yeah.
Oh God,
it's bad.
Yeah, that's the worst. You just see a collection of people getting eaten.
Yeah. On
the ceiling, and then it drops down to the floor, starts snatching people up, and of course it's in a panic now. Everybody's running for their lives.
Yeah.
Meg, amidst the chaos, has snuck out of the quarantine area.
Right.
With the help of her dad. I say help. I'm sure he was just causing a ruckus because of the situation they're in. But she's able to get to the movie theater to try and find him, and just walks into the massacre. They're currently trying to like get out through a doorway that's locked, so she just snatches him up, tries to find a different exit because it won't budge, and the thing is currently barreling towards them.
Right.
And they're able to make it to this weird, I want to say it's still like outside the theater, but
it's like an alleyway.
Right.
But it feels very weird.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like the ending of an alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah, so they find a manhole cover and decide to escape through the sewers. Now, the Blob initially infiltrated the city through the sewers, so
yeah,
it's not going to be any stranger.
Right.
But Eddie's brother, who was one of the like chauffeur, like the what is it called? Usher. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an usher or just part of the staff of that theater.
Right.
He sees them get into the sewers and watches them escape. So he immediately goes to whoever he can find to get some help.
Right.
And Dr. Meadows, upon hearing the situation, is like, oh, perfect. We can seal it off in the sewers.
Yeah.
And then we can contain the damn thing. And one of the dudes who actually has a conscience asks him, well, what about the civilians? And he's just like, they're expendable. And I'm like,
yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But as we're seeing all this, we're hearing all this from the perspective of Brian, who has escaped the truck and has made his way back over to get his bike.
He gets the entire synopsis
He gets the
of what the real
rundown.
situation
And
is.
they're taking the quote unquote asteroid out of the ground, and there's like a United States flag on it.
It turns out it's a satellite.
Yeah, and it's like it is product of America, and it is a test
bioweapon.
new bioweapon. It's like, oh, mother of God.
Of course.
Here we go. And of course they're talking so, I mean,
high and mighty about it. It's like, this is going to put us so far ahead of the Russians.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, and then of course, then I was like, oh, we're definitely in an 80s film.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah.
The Red Scare. And
Yeah,
whatnot.
exactly.
But, yeah. So, unfortunately, Brian gets found out and has to make his escape on this sick-ass motorcycle chase.
Yeah. Oh, and then from the beginning of the film, the first time we see Brian, one of the things he does after he's done smoking his ciggy, he starts his motorcycle and he's going to try and jump over this like broken bridge kind of thing to like get to the other side.
Right.
Don't know what's over there, but he's like, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And his bike ends up like crapping out, like as he's trying to rev up, it doesn't quite.
Can't make it.
Yeah, he bails out like right at the last minute. Which is kind of why he has to go back to go fix his motorcycle.
Right.
But now it's time.
Yeah.
For
time to shine.
For our daredevil
break.
To go do it. And
he evil Knievel's his way across the gap, wrecking a truck in the process.
Man, there's nothing like an old like 1980s Chevrolet truck. It's built like built like an entire building, and just like tumbling around in the dirt, and like nothing is being crushed. It's just bouncing around,
right?
Because of how robust it's built. So yeah, that was fun to watch as well. As they're just like, oh my God, and the truck's just like ding, 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 and like it's just bouncing around.
Yeah,
and he jumps off of it, and they're still like shooting with their rifles towards him and stuff, and he makes it out, and it's like, oh hell yeah, dude.
And upon his escape, he's able to find one of the sewer entrances.
Right.
Now, I don't know what really prompted him to ride his bike through here, other than to just keep out of sight and stay out of their vision cones.
Yeah.
But they end up linking back up, Meg and Brian, in the sewers as she's trying to escape. But not before another run-in with the Blob, this time under the veil of sewage.
Oh, God.
And as they're trudging through it, Meg is like, watch out for the rats. And Eddie's like, what rat?
And the rat that was there is now
gone.
And
then she sees another one get snatched up, and she's like, oh, fuck, we got to run. And it's practically a dead end, except for like a bit of piping that they can climb onto.
Yeah.
Eddie, oh, poor little Eddie.
Yeah.
Gets snatched up and drowned by the Blob. Of course, Meg, for some reason, like with her knowing how this thing works, decides to go after him anyway. For a while, we think she got him. She got.
Yeah.
But she somehow surfaces, and we see what remains of Eddie.
Oh gosh.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah, that was
scary.
Yeah, not something I could sleep with. But yeah, they're able to just barely escape. Like she urges her little brother to like get out of there because he gets to like 5th grade and just get out. But she ends up making a different route once a few of the hazmat folks show up to get a read on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 of the dudes are just looking at the thing. One of them decides to shoot because of course you would.
Yeah.
And
anybody
the
with
other guy
brains
stops him and is like, "We've got orders not to shoot," and he immediately gets eaten up.
Yep, gobbled up.
So now that it's distracted with them, this gives her a window of opportunity to find another way out, which unfortunately doesn't last long. It finishes off the like 2 of the hazmat folks and starts coming after her again.
Before we continue, can I tell you what the homeless man's name is in the credits?
Yeah.
What the actual character name is?
Uh-huh.
His name is the Can Man.
The Can Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We did see him collecting cans,
yep.
squashing them with a frying pan strapped to his foot.
Yep. The Can Man.
Yeah. That's
anyway, I just saw that and I was like, wow, that's great. Anyways.
But yeah, she is, for all intents and purposes, about to be eaten.
Yeah.
Until Brian shows up on his motorcycle and gets her to safety, relative safety.
Right.
So they get to a dead end on the bike, and it's coming down like the corridor, coming to get them. And he's like,
"The only way out,
this motherfucker.
The only way out's through."
Right. So he revs it up, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he straight up pulls a hero and a half shell.
Oh yeah.
And Ninja Turtles his way around this motherfucker, skating through the sewers.
It is a cylindrical tube made out of concrete, basically, and he like was able to drive up on the wall a little bit and drive back down. So it is. I think he got emboldened by his
right. I made that jump. I can make this no problem.
Little bridge jump. Now it's like, oh yeah, I can drive on the wall. It's no big deal.
Michelangelo'd his way out. But yeah, after that, he ends up crashing his bike, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he floods it. Mm-hmm. He slides, and of course, as he does, it goes into the water, and it's kaput at that point.
It's donezo.
Yeah.
So they just got to hoof it from there. And of course, they are able to make it to a manhole, but not before encountering the 3rd and final hazmat dude.
Yeah.
Who has a rocket launcher.
Yeah, just walking around.
Yeah, but the poor dude, he's like too far gone at this point. He's traumatized after seeing what happened. But after that, they find out that the rest of his team is like waiting for him at the cover, and Meadows is like, "Close it off," and like, "But that's one of my men down there." It's like, I don't care. In case you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
So they do it anyway. Park a truck over it. But our boy Brian doesn't give up so easy. He's got Meadows on the walkie and is like, "All right, bro, if you won't listen to me, then listen to this."
Yeah.
He grabs the rocket launcher from the dude and just fires it up at the manhole cover, destroying the truck on top of it.
Crazy.
And just makes his way out of there no problem. So, of course, he gets Meg out of there too, grabs a rifle, and is immediately trained on Meadows.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the king shit cops, the sheriff, is like, "Put the gun down, son. I'll blow you out of your shoes." And he's like, "It's a lie. They tricked us. They were just an experiment."
Yeah.
And but the Blob is like slowly making its way out of the sewers. Just to grab a few snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Meadows being one of them. As he's about to like grab a gun from one of his little stooges and shoot Brian, he is immediately like whip cracked into the sewer.
Yeah. Crazy.
Just desserts, I say. But yeah, it's another It's got him by the leg. As it like pulls him like into the cover, he's able to like hold on for dear life around the edges, but not before we see his suit flood with the blob. And it shakes him around a bit and then just eats him up like it's nothing. Oh man.
Okay, can I share a little bit of fun facts before we get to like the very ending of this?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. There was at the end of the movie, well, we're getting there to the end, which is why I kind of want to touch on some of this.
Yeah.
That at the end, whenever everyone's like trapped inside the courthouse or whatever, and they're trying to push back, and the big reveal happens with the snow machine, which is a callback to the beginning of the movie. Whenever Brian's asking for the socket set, and of course the guy's like fixing on the actual machine. It's like a big truck that, of course, apparently can make snow. Apparently,
right? The snowmaker.
The snowmaker. There's a moment whenever he's trying to put snow on the monster and drives up close to it, and it gets pushed over, and the big tank rolls off it and stuff. At that point, whenever Meg is like trying to, that whole interaction's going on.
The hero sequence.
Did the hero sequence? There was a partially dissolved but still alive soldier on the ground.
Oh yeah.
Who was like, help me, please. And of course she like takes off the charge and stuff. Funny story about that person was performed by a stuntman named Noble Craig, and he was, I don't know if he's still alive or not, a triple amputee.
Oh wow!
Who lost both his legs, an arm, and his eye while serving in the Vietnam War.
Damn!
And he got to play that part as
That's
crazy. Yeah. So he was just on there with makeup and stuff on. It was like, help me, please!
Wow!
So that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No wonder they were able to do the tendons of his arms snapping off so well.
Right.
Oof.
The around 46 minutes into the film, this is the sequence with Fran in the phone booth. It says the overhead shot of the phone booth where the blob explodes against Fran was accomplished using a 3-foot phone booth model, an articulating doll of Fran, and an air mortars blasting her. And it says that Fran said that, or the actress that played Fran said that they originally took full body and face life castings of her and created a life-size dummy and then tried shooting her blob attack in a real phone booth, but it never worked effectively though, which is why they decided to go with a miniature. I think it had more force and more aggression.
Oh yeah,
than
definitely.
the real thing did.
Damn.
That's creative.
Yeah,
and that's crazy because it doesn't feel like a miniature.
Oh no,
but that sequence felt so aggressive because of that.
Yeah,
they just blasted that shit into there.
Fantastic work.
I mean, truly, really great. There's some little back and forth between other characters that were offered the role but didn't want to, and all that kind of stuff. So, it says that according to an interview, Chuck Russell, who is the director in this film, deliberately stole a page from the Hitchcock playbook by killing the character that everyone would identify as the quote-unquote hero halfway into the film. So everyone would go, geez, if he could die, anyone could, which is very true.
Yeah, that's
very true.
That's pretty good.
I think that it would I'm not going to say the movie should change, but I think that if the movie was to prolong his life a little more, I think it would have been more believable for me.
Yeah.
But I think in the 80s, that was very much a real thing.
A left hook.
Yeah. Because I think that for us in the modern age, Game of Thrones did that.
Oh, yeah.
For me. Game of Thrones was a series that I every new episode I was like, I don't want him to die, please. Yeah. So, but anyways, of the film's $19 million budget, which is crazy.
Wow.
$19 million in today's film budget is nothing. I think a short film budget is $100 million or something, which is crazy. Of the film's $19 million budget, $9 million went towards visual effects for this film.
Oh, of course,
which is crazy. Again, because normally
that stuff ain't cheap.
In this
especially
time,
for the kind of stuff they do.
In this time, it isn't. Now, a majority of the budget is all paying high-paid actors a lot of times, but This was released 30 years after the original version of the Blob in 1958 and had budget estimated to be almost 80 times the original.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Jeez.
Hold on. Give me a moment while I do some
quick maths.
Quick maths. Let me see what we got here.
Damn. Yeah, between you and me, I think we need some more blobs and things as opposed to more possessions and
for real.
angry spirits. Not to say that there's no place for that kind of stuff. I still love the Poltergeist. That's one of my favorite horror movies.
Really?
Yes. But I don't know. It's got to be at least up to that standard for me.
Right.
But yeah, as far as horror goes, it's all about the body for me.
Interesting.
That is my least favorite kind, and that will always get me.
I bet.
Yeah.
To kind of round out this episode, though, at the very end, that amputee victim that was the actor, he had the explosive charges on his back. Mm-hmm. Meg, and they really made her badass, dude. Yeah. I was like, really hell yeah. I mean, she got on top of that tank and she I love the fact that she's like trying to figure out how to get this gun to work, but she finally gets it to work and just starts like blasting it around. I'm like, hell yeah, girl, get it. She gets on top of the snow tank or whatever. And like,
she's trying to get its attention.
Oh yeah, of course.
Which she does.
Yeah.
And,
drops takes the pin out and drops the explosive down and then gets her foot caught in like some cables and stuff.
Yeah.
And then our boy Brian's
busts out of the snowmaker and is able to get her to safety.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like watching a cryo bomb go off.
Yeah.
Because that thing is completely frozen.
And then, may I say that...
Do you want to talk about the ending?
I don't know how I feel about the ending.
It's crap, man.
May I say...
It's funny in the sense that, like, man, how in the world
are they
going to make a sequel to this?
What we're referring to is that throughout this entire movie, there is this kind of creepy reverend character.
Yeah.
Who, like, I know he's just like a local town reverend and stuff. Right. I think that they're trying to ham him up to be like a little bit of a quirky guy, but it comes across as weird, in my personal opinion, and not that way. But I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt because I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
And then there's a few sequences like that he, for some reason, he found the frozen pieces of the blob whenever they were in the freezer section of the diner.
Yeah.
And he puts them in a jar and holds on to them for some reason.
Yeah.
And then whenever it's attacking the city, he's like, it was been prophesied, and
it's like, in what?
And I think I know what he's referring to because he reads the passage of scripture out of Revelations.
And you think it's like part of the
I'll get to that. Yeah. So so what happens is he's noticing this all happening, and then of course, out of a freak turn of events, he gets caught on fire. And I thought he was dead, but no. And
some dude walks up to the blob with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And the blob ain't having none of it, so he just... it's the equivalent of like putting your finger in a gun barrel.
Yes.
But of course this wouldn't work, but it's like the Looney Tunes shit where you just plug both holes of a shotgun and it backfires on whoever's using it. So the dude explodes and bursts into flames, but not before a little bit gets on our reverend character.
Yeah.
And he's panicking, running. Now Meg,
frantic
patron saint that she is, decides to put him out with a fire extinguisher and gets him to town hall where it's safe for now. And, so they hightail it out of there, and she's using the fire extinguisher to like keep this thing at bay, and it's working.
Yeah.
And they all like barricade themselves in the town hall, but of course it's still trying to break through. And the other sheriff, who was kind of a dickhead at the start, is made quite a turnaround.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, he's got his head right now.
Yeah.
But poor bastard, he just he gets a reach around from the blob.
Yeah.
And he is snapped in twain like a twig, pulled through a hole in this bookshelf. that he was using to barricade the door.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was messed up.
Yeah. But after that, Brian has gone to procure the snowmaker and use it against the blob. It starts off relatively well enough. He gets its attention. It's not focused on town hall anymore. But then he just decides to ram the thing with the truck. And it just is brushed away like like a toy.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. So, of course, it starts going after him, tries enveloping the truck. And, of course, the tank of whatever is used for the snowmaker has fallen off. After which Meg gets the bright idea to get its attention so that it can be blown up and frozen. It's, by the way, really quick thinking. I'd be too terrified. I hate this fucking thing already. I can't bear to look at it. But, yeah. She's able to get snagged on the thing like you were talking about earlier. But, of course, Brian saves her, and then it just blows up.
Yeah. The Reverend character that we were referring to at the very end
has begun preaching.
Well, but, so he's all burned up and he's all like scorched up, and again in this whole movie he's been coming across as weird and all that kind of stuff. And he's reading a passage that it says that the name of the star is Wormwood. The third of the waters became a wormwood, and many died from the water because it was made bitter. So basically, this is in Revelation. So for any of those that may or may not know about biblical stuff, Revelation in the Bible is all foreshadowing the future, kind of like the end of days is kind of what it's supposed to be. And so with that, like they say that whenever the end times are coming, whenever Jesus returns and all this other hullabaloo, there are checkpoints, there are things that's going to happen that precede him and also afterwards, succeed him, with all that kind of stuff happening. And one of them is the fact that this star or something's going to fall from the heavens and corrupt the water and make it bitter on earth, supposedly. And people are going to die from the water if they drink it or they consume it. So whenever kind of the end of the world's happening and shit's kind of going sideways after Jesus comes back or before or however you want to interpret it, there's going to be something that's going to fall into the water and potentially make the water turn into wormwood, which is bad water. At least that is what's going on. So as he's preaching about this and he's like talking about it, it is insinuated he's referring to this goop that fell from the heavens that is technically from the U.S.
Right.
But I think he is thinking
man-made.
Exactly, man-made. But he's thinking it's something bigger than that. And of course, he's like preaching this this like super depressing, like awful message or whatever. And it's like, damn, dude.
Soon everybody's gonna die,
exactly.
good or bad.
And of course, one of his congregation members like comes up there and is like, "When, Reverend, when is the end of days or whatever?" Which no man may know, by the way. But he's like holding his little glass jar of goop, or whatever.
A remnant of the blob.
Exactly.
The chunks that he grabbed from the freezer have now
thawed
melted
out
and are up and about again.
And he's like, "Soon
the Lord will give me a sign."
It's like, oh my God, dude. And then the movie ends. I'm like, I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You gotta really ham up this religious undertones at the end. But that's okay. It was fun. It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Very disgusting, but also very innovative. There was only very little scenes where I felt like some of the CGI or like the green screen stuff was a little bit wonky. But for the 80s,
it looked like stop motion.
Yeah.
In fact, there was one shot where this dude like falls on the sidewalk, and the blob just smashes it, swats him like a fly and peels him off of the ground.
It's like, wow, okay. It's scary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for any of those looking to reach out to us or give us some suggestions or just kind of talk to us for a while, we have a Linktree /Ian Wolf where you can find all of our social media links or different podcasting platforms. Basically, you can type in @Ian Wolf on social media and find my stuff. Got Instagram, got a Threads, I've been
God.
using Threads
Yeah.
for a while, which is kind of fun. It's like the new version of Twitter. I never liked Twitter ever,
Yeah.
but because I think I kind of hopped on the bandwagon when it was like first starting with Threads, I'm like, I kind of get it a little bit. It's kind of fun to just scroll through and see some people make some really weird comments on there.
Right.
So, anyways, or you can look up into the sky on a full moon lit night and wait for the asteroid to fall down.
Right. They put us up in space just to see how it would affect us. And
But if you can
nothing
notice
really
it, though,
worked.
if you can notice it, it'll definitely come hurtling towards you. So be careful.
Yeah, the crash zone will still be like dangerous, but I mean we'll be fine. We'll still be recording away. It's no big deal. So feel free to take a listen.
Also on All Hallows Eve, if you could play
The night of the blood moon.
in the night of the blood moon, play the Monster Mash at full volume, and like a magic.
We will rise from the ground.
Yeah, right. I was going to say a raven would fly down and deliver the podcast to you, but also it depends on what you prefer. Zombies as well. We'll rise out of the ground if you want. But anyways, until next time, thank you so much for listening.
See ya.
Bye-bye.